What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, I want to give my post-fight to Erislandy Lara versus Yuri Foreman. PBC on Spike. I give you guys the good, the bad, and the ugly. And congratulations to Erislandy Lara. He improves his record, and he beat Yuri Foreman, 4th round stoppage in this fight. And I'm going to just kind of give my thoughts. Also, shout out to the dog, Anthony Durrell. He also got a stoppage on the same card. And the good for me is Lara, before the fight and even during the fight, he said he was going to try to make a statement and stop Yuri Foreman. Bravo, Lara, because I'm a huge fan of Erislandy Lara. Actually, I like a lot of the Cuban fighters too, not just Cuban fighters, but they're very skilled, right? And one thing that I noticed with Lara, as opposed to some of the other Cuban like Gamboa, even a Rigondeaux, is even though Rigondeaux's technical, he's also more of an assassin. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he'll put together more punches. Lara sometimes coasts it. And if you guys remember, I did a Delvin Rodriguez Lara post-fight video. And I thought the way he carried that fight on, and he was hurting and dropping Delvin Rodriguez, a guy who lost to Austin Trout, got stopped in the 3rd round, I think, by Miguel Cotto, right? And Delvin Rodriguez, that obviously wasn't a main fight that we wanted to see Lara fight, but obviously the fights with like Canelo and stuff, I'm pretty sure Canelo, that was like a once and done. He's not trying to fight Lara again, and they talked about that on the telecast. So Lara, I believe, is avoided based on his style, but even still, they drudged up Delvin Rodriguez, and you had a dead man that you kept hurting and knocking down, and it went the distance. And it'd be one thing if it was like Chris Algieri versus Ruslan Provodnikov, where Algieri was just getting on his toes and boxing and showed tremendous heart. But I don't really think Delvin Rodriguez was doing that. I mean, he was showing heart by getting back up, but it was more of what Lara wasn't doing to finish and close the show. I've told people this for a while. Lara, to me, I think he can stop a lot more people than his record shows. It's just and some Cubans have this. They're like programmed and such a skilled technical fighter. Not all the time, because you got guys like Mike Perez from Cuba and Gamboa, and they don't necessarily, they're known more probably for their offense than their defense and stuff like that. But a lot of the technical Cuban fighters, sometimes they almost put it in cruise control. Like maybe the heavy amateur days background or whatever. And I thought he did that with Delvin Rodriguez. So fast forward to tonight's PBC Spike fight, Lara didn't do that. And he said going into the fight he wasn't. And that's exactly what I want to see from Erislandy Lara. Champion. Both the losses on his resume can be disputed, right? Actually, instead of the losses that he does have, like Canelo, that was a close fight, but I edged it to Lara 1 or 2 rounds. And then he has a loss to Paul Williams, which he clearly beat Paul Williams, and I'm a huge Punisher fan. But those shouldn't even be his losses. If he is to have a loss, I would say his fight with Carlos Molina, he didn't look great in that fight. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, he has 2 losses on his record. You're in there with Yuri Foreman, who kind of disappeared from the scene. Cotto stopped him. He had knee problems. And he had maybe a couple hometown fights in recent memory. I thought he retired, to be honest. And they offered a fight to Troy King, to Yuri Foreman. So that's just kind of where he was with his career. So at least Lara did what he said he was going to do. He sat down on some punches and he closed the show. And that's what I like to see. Even with like a Gennady Golovkin. When he was fighting, obviously Jacobs is a good certifiable test. Everybody should be giving Golovkin credit for that fight. But when he was fighting guys that we expected him to handedly beat, like the Willie Monroes and Dominic Wade, the good thing is the way Golovkin's style is set up is if you're overmatched, he's not going to carry you through the fight, and it's not going to go on longer than it really should. He's going to put together enough punches with his style to get Monroe out of there in 6 or Dominic Wade out there in 2. And that's what I wanted to see. This is like an appetizer for the much better Showtime card tomorrow. James DeGale, Badou Jack, Tank Davis, Jose Pedraza. So there's no point to carry it on. You're in front of the hometown or second home of Miami, and people can get on with their night instead of watching 12 rounds of Yuri Foreman, who really shouldn't have, you know what I mean? It wasn't a fight. that really should have happened in terms of how skilled Lara is. And I don't know the behind the scenes stuff. Maybe they offered the fight to bigger names and they turned it down. I know Lara has a style that some people don't like, so I'm just ready for Lara to have a big fight again. You know what I mean? The Ishe Smiths and the Delvin Rodriguez, Yuri Foreman, those don't really, we already know he should easily beat those guys. I was at his fight, I covered his fight live, the Vanes Matarosen rematch. That was a good win for him. But back to those types of names, you know what I mean? He can't fight the Charlos because they're in the same camp. But I like how Lara was a bit more aggressive. He didn't get caught with anything, and he showed the separation, and he did it early by stopping Yuri Foreman. It was a great knockout too. He hit him with a sneaky uppercut, and he basically touched his body, and then Yuri Foreman crumbled. He's on the canvas. Yuri Foreman tried to show heart and get back up, but his legs were done. His legs were done. He couldn't even stand, so the ref seen him struggling to get up. I think he kind of did a Zab Judah mistake versus Costa Zoo. I think when you get dropped like that, everybody wants to rush back up and get back up. That's when you're going to be the most fucked up, because it just happened. You're on the canvas. You have a 10 count. And a lot of these refs, they'll count slow. Like, look at the Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas. Tyson knocked down Buster Douglas. They gave him like a 15 count or something. So you're better off staying calm and composing yourself and not rushing back up. I think Julian J. Rock Williams did the same thing. He got dropped hard by Jamal Charlo, and he wasn't out of there like unconscious, but he tried to get right back up. It's not going to work out for you. Just think of being drunk. Have you guys ever been drunk and then you stood up from the bar stool and the room like kind of spins? You're like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? You have that like you're on a cruise or something, that turbulence type of feel. But as far as the win, it was a good performance from Lara. He looked sharp, but this was a fight he was supposed to easily win, and he did that. So, I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to overly credit him. We knew that Yuri Foreman hadn't really done much in recent memory, so the win is what it is. I just hope he gets the better shots, but I seen it coming. I told you guys in the comment section, if you guys follow my round by round tweets, before in the first round when it ended, I said Erislandy Lara straight left is just stupid. I believe this punch will start to do damage shortly on Foreman. Sniper shot. And after round 2, I said Lara looks sharp so far. The more aggressive Foreman gets, the worse it'll be. He's not out jabbing Lara, and he's coming straight in. I didn't give Foreman any of the rounds. Like, it looked written, because if you're boxing a technical guy like Lara, you might want to try to out jab him or something, or at least try. You can't just be coming straight in a straight line. That Lara straight left is money. You know what I mean? That's smooth butter. That's that garlic butter that's gonna sit you down and definitely sting. I think Lara could knock out more people if he wasn't as economical as he is. Then they had an earlier knockdown. I'm not sure if that was a knockdown, but overall, Lara he looked good. He looked sharp, sneaky uppercut. Close the show. On to the next. I want to see Demetrius Andrade. If he can't fight the Charlo brothers, I'd love to see a fight like that. He already has a draw and a win over Vanes Matarosen, so I don't really want to see that. But you know what I mean? Maybe one of these other young cats, the Erickson Lubin, or what's his name, the Jared Swift Hurd, something like that. Those will all be great fights if he can't get Andrade next. But Lara looked good. I liked how he was using his right hand a little bit more. He's left hand dominant. He's like kind of a one-handed fighter, but he was at least setting things up with his right hand and kind of probing and pawing with the right. I think he even landed some hooks. So it looked like an improved Lara. Like he was really trying to do what he said before, which is make a statement in this particular fight and knock Yuri Foreman out. He was just landing crispy shots. His left hand, his ring generalship. Another thing that why Lara's a problem, he has very good balance. Like, you know what I mean? There's clinches and little tussles and stuff. He always is like more of a matador in those situations. And there's a couple moments in this fight, if you watch it back, where, like, let's say Yuri Foreman's rushing in, trying to do his work or whatever. And there's a couple points where Erislandy Lara, he actually bent down really low, like with his knees. That just shows that good balance and just kind of a nimble, limber type of person, light on your feet. And he's just overall a good fighter. I just want to see him in more impactful fights for the division. Hopefully he doesn't get ducked. Maybe even like, let's say Triple G and Canelo doesn't happen next and Triple G mows through Danny Jacobs. I would love to see Erislandy Lara, because at least that's a technical fighter. Danny Jacobs, he has an amateur background and power, which makes that fight interesting. Lara has respectable pop and a crazy left hand, and he has better footwork than a Danny Jacobs, you know what I mean? And he has a high ring IQ. So to see if Golovkin can cut off the ring, maybe a fight like that if he moves up from 54. Let me know what you guys thought. Lara looked good. He looked sharp. He dominated, won every round. Yuri Foreman, I don't know. I think he's a rabbi. Maybe he'll hang him up. But I really don't see him making any noise in the division. If Cotto does fight 3 times a year, that's another fight I would love to see at 54. Lara versus Cotto if he beats Kirkland. But even if Kirkland, actually, if Kirkland beats Cotto, then that's a significant win. That's the Ann Wolf win. Put him in there with the style like Lara, because if you notice it, the person who had the most success with Lara are people who kind of got aggressive. Carlos Molina, not much of a puncher, but he had a good volume and an aggressive style. Canelo got more aggressive when he seen that he was losing the first half of the fight. He started ripping Lara's body aggressively. And then also Alfredo El Perro Angulo, you know what I'm saying? That was one of Lara's toughest fights. And he ended up getting the stoppage and having that thing growing from Angulo's head. But he got knocked down twice in that particular fight. So if Kirkland destroys or not, I mean, I don't really see Kirkland outboxing James Kirkland. I don't see him outboxing Cotto, period. So if he does beat Cotto, I think it have to be by like a TKO or stoppage. So if he has that name under his belt, then I would like to see that fight. Let me know what you guys think of Lara's performance, who you want to see him in with next. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.